Good morning, boys. What's going on? Okay, today is the day we're gonna finish cutting the GTR. We're gonna install some riv nuts, a couple performance parts. We're taking off the old exhaust. We've got a lot going on today, so stay tuned because you're gonna see all of it. So just a little recap. We've got 3 of the 4 fenders cut for the wide body. The last one is this rear left quarter panel, and the new cut is gonna be, or the last cut will be along this black line here. That's gonna make room for the big tires that we've got sitting over there to fit in the wheel well with the wide body, and it's gonna look super sick. So after we finish cutting this, we're gonna do the riv nut install. And now rivet nuts, kind of a hard concept to explain vocally, but you're gonna see exactly what they are and how they hold the wide body on. But first though, we're gonna be taking off the old exhaust. Remember, the old one is a Boost Logic and the new one is Corsa, and the Corsa is gonna sound phenomenal. Plus, Corsa are our boys. So we're super stoked to get their exhaust on there. Levi, what do you think of the new exhaust? Blah, blah, blah.
Do you want a sandwich from Neaters?
Do I want a sandwich from Neaters? Yes, I want a sandwich from Neaters. What are you looking at, Casey?
You know, just stuff.
Exhaust things. So yeah, we're taking off this exhaust. Like I said, all the bolts we have to do are these here, these. Then we've got one in here. Then this will slip out of that yoke, and then these right here. Now, for the downpipes though, the downpipe bolts on GTRs, for those who didn't know, are super, super tough to get off because the nuts that go on there are only meant to go on one time, so they kind of ruin the threads when you put them on. They're these right here. In fact, when we're taking this side off, one of them snapped. We do have a new one though to put on, just so it's, you know, all new hardware and stuff like that. It's gonna keep it super secure. But we've already got those off because they're so tough. These are already loosened. We just need to remove those and it'll all come off. What do you think, Casey?
As Brian said, it's exhausting.
We got these babies off, so Casey Casey's got the muscle, so he's holding it up now because all these hangers are already loosened. So there's literally nothing holding this part on. I think Justin just took off this bolt, so this is gonna slip right out of this yoke. He loosened that, so. So we've got this hanger just getting stuck on the street shield, or
what is that?
It's a street shield. On the skid plate. This is technically a skid plate. Common other word for it is street shield for those that didn't know. Really?
Yeah, except for you.
Wow.
I think you made that up.
And there we go. Half the exhaust is off. Yeah, that's pretty light. You just hold. You look like you're holding it like it's a little feather, dude. It's like it's one of your dogs. All right, here.
It's probably
switch.
the lightest exhaust.
Like ready? Yeah. Whoa.
Is that not?
Insane,
It's
dude.
weird.
It's so light.
You're like holding 20 feet of pipe and it's like 5 pounds.
Look at that. Money.
What is your guesstimation of weight?
45 pounds.
45?
Maybe even 40. Yeah.
Let's go put that on the bench, dude.
So now with the axle back out, we're gonna take this mid pipe out, and all that's left is the down pipes after that. How heavy is the mid pipe?
It's pretty heavy because it's got the cats
Yep.
in it. And it was out of tune.
Cats in there.
It's quiet.
Ah!
What do they do on the TikTok set?
Oh.
Oh,
I kicked it.
Your Nikes.
Oh, these are my old ones, dude. I wore them today on purpose.
That's why you gotta wear the beaters.
Yeah, these are the beaters. These are the beaters. I got brand new ones. So now with the exhaust off, you can see a lot more of the underside of the car, but we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna do the down pipes later today, but for now, we gotta finish up cutting. So this is gonna be the final cut right along this black line, like I said, to make room for the huge wheels that are gonna be back there with the wide body. And then after that, we're gonna do the rivet nut install. That part is pretty tedious, but you're gonna get to see all of it. So the final cut is about to go down on this side. We've already got the rear right quarter panel and all the front fenders already done. I just wanna show you guys. So this is what the final cut's gonna look like. We fold in these metal pieces like this, and then we're gonna sand that down and then put sealant on it. And then that seal is gonna prevent water from getting up in here, because basically if there's any water goes up for some reason, which it could with the wheels flicking up water on a rainy day, then that can get in here and basically gets inside your cabin, and you don't want that. It's gonna make your headliner droop. A lot of other issues could be with electronic modules, stuff like that. So basically what we're saying is we take all the extra steps necessary to make sure this is an absolute, basically bomb-proof build. I wouldn't test that though. So we've been using our old airsaw for years. This is the new one. The old one finally crapped out, but we've used it on so many builds, right? So it is about time, but this is the airsaw that's gonna be cutting this. Why do we use an airsaw instead of like an electric or?
Because, as Justin always says, so when you use the grinder, you're going to shoot a lot of sparks and stuff, and if you're going at weird angles, you can actually crack the glass and then also burn the paint.
Right.
So use
Damage
that.
a clear
This
coat.
is way more precise, cleaner cut, and just an all-around better tool. So.
Sick. Well, there you go, guys. That's why we use the airsaw. Do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we performed the final cut. So when Justin was on the inside there's just a small inner piece that needs to be cut too to get that whole chunk to come off. But there you go. I mean, that was insanely precise. That thing is just wherever you want it to go, it goes. We literally got along the black line the entire way. So there we go. I love how Justin just started too. He's like, let's do this. Starts going immediately. No hesitation. No hesitation, baby. We're ready to go.
It's like cutting a piece of bread.
So the next part of the process, we had that final exterior cut done, but next we're gonna cut slits like you saw on the other side, and those slits will push, kind of fold these in like is done on the other side, and then we're gonna cut slits on this inner, I guess, wheel well as well, and those will kind of like mate together, overlap. It's hard to explain just by concept, but you'll see shortly, once those slits are put together, we'll be able to add the sealer. It's kind of almost like a liner, rhino liner type thing, and sand that down, and it's gonna look super smooth after, because I mean, if you look at the other side, it doesn't look great how it is, but it's not complete. So all these little gaps in between these folds, these little slits that we cut, are gonna be filled in with sealer, and that's gonna prevent, like I said, the water from getting in there or any other debris, stuff like that.
Panel bond.
Panel bond.
It's like what the body shops use to repair vehicles or put new panels on.
Oh.
So it's like
Casey's
tough.
Casey's
Tough
just dropping knowledge that nobody knows. Only Casey and Justin know.
But a lot of people, I think we talked about it before, will weld like metal in there, but then it's like, you're welding stuff, and you have to take the whole interior out, and then you have chances of something catching fire and like all that stuff. So
Well, I bet it doesn't
using
look
the-
as clean
Yeah,
either.
using the seam sealer, then you can sand it, you can paint it, and it looks freaking phenomenal. So
There you go, guys. That's the answer. So this is the sealer that we're gonna use on those slits to make sure the water, all the elements basically don't get inside the parts of the car we don't want them in. This is what it looks like. So it's kind of like an epoxy looking, it is an epoxy, but in kind of an epoxy gun format. And so Casey's gonna squirt that stuff in there, right, Casey? Scroll, look at that thing. That's a heavy duty one.
yeah,
Dang,
some
boy.
pricey stuff.
And then right here, this is the hardware, right? The rivet nuts. Okay, so these are the actual rivet nuts. These will go on the rivet gun. You'll get to see that shortly. But essentially that rivet gun is gonna secure these inside the holes that we drill. Here's some of the pilot holes you can see already. And then once we have those in, these are the actual bolts, the hardware that's gonna hold the body kit on. Okay, so we're just finishing up the inside of cutting the little flaps on the rear panel, but meantime,
The most exciting part.
yeah, the most exciting and satisfying part, Casey's pulling off this tape here. Look at that. Feeling that nice pearly white paint underneath. Sick. So now we're gonna cut the slits on the exterior here that are gonna mate with these slits that Justin just cut on the inside, like you saw on the other side. So here we go. these little slits are cut, so those are gonna fold in, like I said. So fold in, and then we'll also fold these in on the inside here, and those are gonna mate with these, and then we put the sealer on top of that. All right, so we've got the inner side all pushed in, ready to mate, so we're just pulling off the tape on the outside, and then we're gonna fold these on top of the inside, and then we'll be ready to seal. All right, side note though, who's learned something already? I know I've already learned a ton in this process. It's my first time experiencing us do a wide body build here in the shop. So I've already learned multiple things from Casey and Justin. So comment down below if there's something that you learned or something that you want to learn or a question that you may have about the build. Here we go. Bending these outer slits in to mate with the inner. So you're gonna see some of this paint obviously cracking off, but that's all gonna be sanded anyway. You're not gonna see it. Especially, you know, the wide body fenders come up past these pilot holes that we drilled for the rivet nuts. So that's all gonna be hidden, but this is just a part of the process. It's a little cringy to watch when you like see the paint cracking. You're like, oh my gosh, but trust me, it's gonna look phenomenal. Yeah, on a nice GTR. Go. So all these are mated, and the seal is going to go right on top of that, fill in all these little gaps. The seal I think takes like 15 minutes to like soft set, and then another 2 hours total to completely dry and be ready for sanding, which isn't actually too bad. Some epoxies take a lot longer. So nice. Side note, while Casey's sanding, isn't it sick? It's pretty rare here at 880 that we have 3 awesome cars at the shop at once. We usually have 2. We usually have 1 now that we're doing 1 car at a time giveaways, but right now, we just ended the Lambo giveaway, and this is the current giveaway, the DCG61. So while we're waiting to hear back on the name of the winner, we've still got the car here along with the current giveaway and our shop car. It's just super sick. I mean, it's really cool, especially when you're up there. You get to see the downward view of everything going on, which is way sick. So next step is we're putting the sealer on. Casey just finished sanding the inside of these slits, so it's nice and smooth, ready for the sealer to go on. This is what it looks like in the gun. It's kind of like a caulk gun, but for epoxy. And so that's just gonna go on like that. It gets mixed in there, goes on, and then once it sets, after about 2 hours, we'll be able to sand it and get it nice and smooth. After we put on the epoxy, eventually, hopefully today, we're gonna get to putting on these rivet nuts. Now there's a couple different styles. This is like a rivet, just an actual rivet, but the hard part about these is that they're permanent, so if you want to take them off, you have to drill them out. So these would be used if you're doing maybe like a non-exposed hardware wide body kit, but you know, like I said, the downside is to get them out, you have to drill it out, which could cause further damage. This is the one that we're going to be using. And so just this little gold piece is the actual rivet nut, and so it has threads inside there. This is what it looks like after it goes through the rivet gun. So if you can see that there. So the rivet gun is going to compress part of this, and that's what holds it in there. And this is the most secure. This is another type with the rubber rivet instead, but it's a little less secure. It can move around a little bit more, so we choose to use the metal ones. We get them from Downstar, and then you can see there's kind of the little M6 bolt inside there with the Allen head, and then this little plastic piece in between is, I forget the name, like a beauty washer or something like that. And so it adds a little bit of surface area for when this bolt goes in, and it prevents it from kind of distorting the metal or plastic, whatever it's going into. So this is exactly what's going to be in all of these holes. You'll have one of these. And then it's hard to see without the actual fenders here, but once the fenders are here, you'll be able to see there's a little piece that kind of like a little cutout, typical of pretty much any Pandem wide body kit. You see all those little cutouts for the hardware. But yeah, this is the hardware we like to use. And the nice part about this too, as opposed to using you know, just the normal rivet, is you get to choose you know, the hardware that you see. Like I said, people use this for mostly like non-exposed hardware kits, so then it wouldn't really matter what hardware you use. But I would definitely recommend using at least this one with the rubber grommet, if not the most secure, which is this one, so that you can choose the hardware, because you could do, you know, titanium hardware, gold hardware, black hardware, whatever you want to match the aesthetic that you're going for. But yeah, here's actually all of the little rivet nuts that are going to be going in the car. Here we go with the epoxy sealer. Doesn't smell good. Smells terrible. So once you put it on, Casey, do you smooth it out, or do you just leave it exactly where it goes?
I'll smooth it out. So I'm gonna go each individual line, and pretty much everywhere there's a cut. And so that will bond it all together. Then we'll do a fatter layer and smooth it and sand it.
On top of that.
And then paint it.
Oh, it smells so bad. Not a good smell. You can kind of see it going on there, just those black lines. So as Casey said, the first layer is just going to be to bond these cracks, or not cracks, but I guess all the cut lines together, and then we'll do a fatter layer on top of that, which will smooth after that to, I guess, give it a smooth, even surface, which later we'll sand to make it even more smooth. And Casey is almost done here with the sealant. It's dripping, but he wore the junkers today for that purpose. When you work on cars, don't wear nice shoes. That's a fact.
No nice clothes.
But yeah, like I said, so we've got all the little cuts sealed up after this layer, and then we'll do a fatter layer on top that will allow us to smooth it out and then sand it down. Okay, so while Casey's finishing up the sealant on the other side, we're gonna start drilling the full holes for the rivet nuts here in the rear. So a 7mm bolt, no, bolt, drill bit, yeah. So we're gonna use a 7mm drill bit here, drill out the larger holes for the rivet nuts. So now we move on to the front fender, the front driver's side, for getting the rivet nut holes to the size they need to be. Just drilled the pilot holes, one, so we know where they are, and also so that it, you know, hopefully doesn't like bend the metal once we're going through with a bigger drill bit. So, and to follow up on Casey's side doing the sealant, so he's done the first layer and the second layer now, and he's just smoothing the second layer, that thick layer that makes it nice and smooth. As you can see, it's like way smoother. You don't see the individual lines anymore. And so now after this dries, we'll have a lot more room to sand it. All right, so now it's time for the riveting riv nuts. All right, not that funny. So this is what the rivet nut gun looks like. You screw the rivet nut onto the end there, and then insert it into the hole. Press those two arms together, and that's it. There you go. She's in. It's actually not a super tough process. It does get a little more difficult on the plastic, and so we're gonna actually use some of the sealant that we're using to seal these cracks with in there to just make sure that they're super secure. But in the metal, it's not an issue. I mean, once it's in, it's not going anywhere. Guys, just look at how clean it looks once these are in. I mean, just obviously ignoring this part, once this is complete, it'll look even cleaner, but just the holes alone, like, we're kind of like, you know, a little shabby, but with the rivet nuts in it, I mean, these things are just like, oh, they look so clean in there. They're like kind of gold, pearlescent look to them. Super sick. And moving on to the front fender now. Oh, baby. This is exciting, guys. I mean, come on, we're making huge strides in the progress of the wide body on our shop car. This thing's gonna be so sick just to have around.